Emergencies are sure to happen, and it's our responsibility to minimise the damage to people and property. How can we do this? Part 11 of the GLAD training program will help you to get ready. Core to your role is this emergency preparedness and response, but it will likely only rarely happen. But still our response is critical. Some people in Australia think, it won't happen here, but it has. And each year becomes more likely that someone or a group will cause an emergency. Are you ready to face a life-threatening situation? We need to be prepared, and people's health and lives depend on us. The swift response of guards helps reduce the impact of major emergencies, which could include fire, major water or gas leak, bomb threat, armed assault, or some other situation requiring a site evacuation. And we need to respond properly to each event. First up, contact the control room and provide concise details. Follow any directions. How can we do that? What is the best way to communicate with the control room? Use a radio if the whip is not nearby or you want to check if there is a real emergency. But in an emergency, use a whip phone because it has a direct connection to the fire panel. There's no dialing, just pick up and talk to the chief warden. Whips are only used in an emergency by the floor warden. Then maintain contact with the control room using the whip phones. Remain calm and provide assistance or support to any injured. If you must evacuate an area or building, first direct people calmly and orderly to the safest emergency exit. For your site, what are the special instructions for disabled or persons in a wheelchair? How will you help those who may be disoriented or need other assistance? Imagine if the security officer is disoriented. People could suffer or die. Remind people to stay in the evacuation assembly area. Ensure other people do not enter or approach the emergency area until approval is given that it is safe to do so. Don't go taking risks or jeopardize the safety of others. It's so important to stay calm, or else we can't think. Our brain goes to jelly. So think clearly and assist other people. So it's expected that all officers become familiar with the site procedures for emergencies. Each site is different. For example, a stadium versus an office building, and has specific locations for exits and assembly points, fire hydrants and access. Each site has different risks. One site might be subject to flooding, another a terrorist threat, or another area prone to racial tension. If the site uses numerical colour codes, e.g. code red, learn these well so that you can relay the correct code when contacting the control room. The key idea is be prepared. We can easily become oblivious and ignore familiar signs. And then know when to escalate. A minor emergency may become a major emergency, but it's so much better if we can prevent that from happening. Consider what assistance the emergency services may require when they come on site. This may include ensuring access into the building or driveways are clear so that they can access the area quickly. Keep the area clear of junk. Provide directions of the closest or better entry points. Ensure bystanders are not blocking or crowding corridors to access injured persons. Just think, there could be 3,000 people in a large city building. Typically it takes about 1 minute to evacuate a floor, or about an hour for a large building. So knowing the procedures is important because time can mean lives. Directing people to the right places to prevent overcrowding and further threats. What's the officer doing in the photo? He's physically going to the level with a map to check and find things like the first aid kits, extinguishers, whip phones, exits. He's asking, what's on the other side of that door? Where do I lead people? What about if I'm in the food court or in the basement? How will emergency services access the building? Where will all the people be? Officers must know the details of evacuation plans for each floor or area, the location of emergency exits and designated evacuation assembly areas, and the location of emergency equipment. In very stressful or emotional situations, our brains can go to mush and will act on instinct. So we need to train our instinct and have the procedures and locations rehearsed beforehand. Otherwise, we can panic or act crazy in the emergency situation. Physically walk it with a map and find all these points. Now you may think, is this realistic? How often does this happen, a bomb threat? Well, yes, it does, especially in after hours or if you're in a concierge role. Always take it seriously. All bomb threats should be taken seriously. Should a person phone and make a bomb threat checklist is found beside the phone in the control room. But remember, these days you might be mobile. Use this checklist to record details and remain calm. Use the bomb threat checklist to make notes during the call. Get as much detail as possible about the bomb, because the level of detail can relate to the level of risk. Keep the person talking as long as possible. Do not hang up. Notify your supervisor as soon as possible, and he will determine the action that to be undertaken and who will be notified. Just remember a couple of points. A bomb threat is only a threat until something is found. And a bomber will not usually give warning of an attack. We take this very seriously, but knowing these couple of points may help you to remain calm. Now here's a tip. When you're on a call to a bomb threat, put your call on speaker, or if possible, silently notify the other guards to listen in on the call. Why is this a good idea? 2 people can remember details, or make another call if needed, and you can concentrate. Probably more common than a bomb threat is finding a suspicious object. Now here on the screen is an example of an SOP from a poster from one of your sites. Now why would we not tell other people? The idea is that we don't want to create general panic. But what is the procedure on your site? That could apply to the mailroom. For example, what about a letter or an envelope? What will you do? Whatever you do, don't touch it. Escalate the situation, leave it there until it can be properly examined. In summary, what do you need to do? Contact the control room, focus on helping people, know the procedures before any emergency arises. Thanks for joining us again today. Don't forget to complete the short test below. And one last thing, we'd love to hear your comments, so send us an email to feedback@learningsphere.com.au with your thoughts.